Okay.
And the only thing that's left in our name is this creepy old farmhouse our grandfather left us in the middle of nowhere.
Okay, that could be
Why'd you bring me
cool.
up here?
Entertainment value?
Bum bum bum.
I don't know.
Whoa!
Somehow,
Braun.
a town that isn't anywhere near a tectonic plate, that has no fault lines, no fracking, no loud music even, is shaking on a daily basis.
Under the dining table now! Hey, remember that one summer we died under a table?
Huh. That was funny. It's just Angara's tunneling.
Whoa, killer replica.
A replica of what?
A ghost trap?
Huh.
There hasn't been a ghost sighting in 30 years. New York in the 80s? It's like The Walking Dead.
Oh yeah.
Your dad
There they are.
mentioned this to you?
It's just my mom.
So who are you? Who's your mom?
My grandfather died. My mom says we're just here to pick through the rubble of his life.
Who's what?
Wait a minute. Who are you?
Yeah. Oh.
Call it fate,
Call it luck. Call it karma.
call it luck, call it karma. I believe that everything happens for a reason.
Okay. Whoa. What was that? Dirt. Let's hear that music. Oh! Yeah. Whoa.
It has a gunner seat?
That's cool. Oh boy. Okay. Okay. Well. Okay, it was intended to be a teaser. Intended to be a teaser. Okay, Ghostbusters, huh? Okay, clearly a teaser. I already forgot if what I clicked on said official teaser or official trailer. Not enough to get me excited yet. Just a teaser to let us know it's out there and it's coming. But so I guess Paul Rudd is just some guy. I thought he was going to be the son of like Dan Aykroyd's character or Bill Murray's character. Like it would have been Oscar all grown up. That could have been cool. I hope we see Oscar grown up. That'd be an extra level. Since this is supposed to be the third out of those original two, and completely disregarding the Paul Feige or whatever, the Ghostbusters 2016. You know, I didn't like it all that much, but I still thought it was okay. I would have liked to have seen more with that cast. I mean, the funniest ones there were easily Kate McKinnon and Leslie Jones. Between the two, I definitely think Leslie Jones was the funniest. But I think that's because it was clear she was supposed to be the Winston character in everything that you're thinking, because I don't feel like saying it because it's shit. But I still thought she was funny. Without a doubt, her funniest moment in that movie, whenever I think of Ghostbusters 2016 and her in it, I always think of it's their first mission and they're tracking down that dragon thing. She gets into the crowd and the thing's sitting on her shoulders, and she just looks up at him like, you know what, guys, I'm good. I'm gonna go home. Okay, I'm done. Bye. She turns around and walks away. That was funny as hell, and it was a very Winston thing. It was such a Winston thing, but it was still her own way of doing it. I thought it was hilarious. Kristen Wiig, not so much. Melissa McCarthy is Melissa McCarthy, so she gets a pass as far as I'm concerned. Probably hear that plane going overhead. Okay, good. Oh, wait, there it goes. Oh, that's his partner. Anyway, so I would have liked to have seen a sequel to that as opposed to just going, oh, sorry, people, we know you didn't like it, so we'll just go back to that. So it's a modern day Ghostbusters movie. It's a sequel to the original 2. And if they're going to do like what the game did, it's like disregarding 2 to begin with. I mean, that I think they should have just done to begin with. Again, to begin with. Just disregard 2, focus on 1, which they might be doing, now that I think about it further. It would make sense, actually. It would make sense for them for this to be more another Ghostbusters 2 as opposed to Ghostbusters 3. I mean, the game acknowledged that Ghostbusters 2 happened, so as far as those 3 are concerned, that was all canon. But for this movie, they might just be focusing on the first one. And my only assumption on that is that she looks like a good synthesis of the one girl who I guess is supposed to be the daughter of Egon. She's supposed to be the daughter between Egon and, oh god, the receptionist. I always forgot. Oh god. Oh, I feel terrible. Annie Potts' character. Sorry with the. Oh man, I'll come up with it later, but I'm wasting time. Those two look like they were gonna hook up at some point by the end of the movie. So this daughter, this girl, looks like she would be the daughter between Spangler and her. Oh, I almost had it. Stacy? No. Denise? No. Anyway, she looks like it. So for her to have had a real, actual ghost trap actually made a lot of sense. Having the kid from Stranger Things in there, interesting. I mean, he was already in the It movies, so it's interesting that they bring him in for this. Another kind of movie like Stranger Things. Hope the kid doesn't get typecasted because he looks like he's gonna do very well. I'm just hoping they do at least bare minimum bring in Dan Aykroyd and Ernie Hudson and Bill Murray. If I had to pick any one of those, it would be Dan Aykroyd. He's always the most memorable between all of them. While Winston is my favorite character, my second is easily Dan Aykroyd's character. Winston. No, damn. Ray. Jeez. Really losing out on these names. You should be so good at this. So yeah, it looks interesting. I thought this was gonna be like another like second generation Ghostbusters or something like that. That would have been interesting. Kind of a cheat to bring in these characters, but do bring in at least one character as an offspring of one of the originals. That I think actually is a really cool way to keep everything tied together and like, hey, this is all one continuous story. This is what we're doing. Let's roll with this. I like the setting. I think that looks like it could be a lot of fun. Old-timey barns are usually pretty spooky just by themselves, so to go the extra mile and actually make it haunted would make it really cool. I only hope that they don't do something like the 2016 movie did, which was make a human villain, which in the context of that movie did make sense. Just not a lot, you know, isolated loner, hates everybody, wants to find a way to make them all pay. So it was fine. But the thing about the first two movies, regardless of your feelings about them, the best things about them were the fact that the villains were strictly spiritual. Gozer and Ivan the Terrible. Vigo. Now, Vigo at least had Janosch, who was easily the best part of that movie. But he had him to act as his agent. And then you had Gozer with his agents, with those dog-like characters, possessing Sigourney Weaver and Rick Moranis' characters, making them kind of the agents, but then also their own way of making things happen. Kind of agents works in that way, but they weren't really agents. They were just the bridge between the spiritual world and the living world in order to open the gate. So my hope is that if they're going to have any human villains in this movie, it's going to be like that. Having some guy using science to bring ghosts in, I don't know. That aspect I wasn't too fond of with 2016's, but for what it was, I still thought it was okay. It wasn't necessary, but it was okay. Paul Rudd. See, I like Paul Rudd. He's a lot of fun. He's fine, and he can be really funny. He's just one of those actors who only plays Paul Rudd. He never really loses himself in a role. Some actors, a lot of actors, if not all actors these days, pretty much get away with that. Samuel L. Jackson, Bill Murray in the original movies, Robert Downey Jr., so many other actors, they don't really play their role, they just play themselves reading these lines. Now, to be fair, they still do a good job, they still bring a good performance, but you never really see the character. Like with Chris Evans as Captain America. I always saw Captain America. I didn't see Chris Evans because he usually plays different kinds of roles. Some solemn, some douchey, some just generic guy. Which, all perfectly fine. It's just that he knows how to play a role. Same thing for Scarlett Johansson for Black Widow. And then you go on to something else like in Chef. She allows herself to be in the role. So Paul Rudd and Kristen Wiig, for that matter, too, these are just actors who are getting paid to be them, which is fine if you like them. I don't like Kristen Wiig. She's passable at best. But then when you get someone like Paul Rudd, he can actually be a lot of fun. Paul Rudd is funny. I never really liked him too much for the Ant-Man movies. He doesn't come off as the brainy, sciencey, smart kind of person. But aside from that, I love him in it. He's a lot of fun to watch. So it's clearly a teaser, like I said. So it'll be interesting to see what comes of this. It's going to take another trailer, though, for me to be excited. So I'm really not too sure about what to think yet. It just simply exists. It looks like it's going to be a Ghostbusters movie with better effects. And now at the end, I can say this. I don't know. And I try to cap it off on something better, but with that, with this one, I just can't. I will say this though. My wife once asked me when I told her that all these trailers were out. She asked me like, "Geez, is there really any creativeness left in Hollywood?" And I turned to her and I said, "Kinda not really." When they are taking concepts from other media or remaking current media and doing it now. So, what's the benefit from this? She asks. And I tell her, well, in many regards, to these comic book movies, to these Disney live action remakes, and to something like Ghostbusters, for me, as both a movie-going person and a nerd, I can say one of the benefits of these kinds of movies being constantly remade is, for one, potentially bringing something new to the table. Showing us something in this realm, in this universe that we haven't seen before is something that a lot of people want to see. The originals still exist. It's not like these remakes tarnish their reputation or erase them from existence. They just simply become another version. An alternate reality, whatever you want to call it. So if it sucks, you can still enjoy the original. If it's good, then you have two options, which is really a wonderful thing when you get right down to it. Like, again, 2016's Ghostbusters. It might not have been great, but they at least were able to play with having different technologies. Like, one of them had some kind of glove that where you could actually punch a ghost. Stupid, but fun. Kate McKinnon's character, I think she had like some kind of dual laser thing or something that she licks. Ew. but it was still a fun scene. Leslie Jones's character had this ghost chopper upper thing that she uses on that dragon ghost. And I thought that was funny as hell and fun retribution. So for something like this, they could potentially bring something new to the story or something that wasn't shown in the original. Which brings me to my second thing about the good thing about remakes. I'm kind of lumping them all together, but that's pretty much what they are. Between comic book coming to life or remake coming to the now. Better effects. You can see things potentially in their entirety. A lot of movies back in the day that were still good by every sense of the word, they were hampered by the technology of the day. Which in many regards, some of the things didn't look all that good back then. Like Ghostbusters, the original, for example, had some shots that didn't look all that good. There was a few scenes where you could see through Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. And if you look forward and you see it, kind of, oh, that's unfortunate. But it was still a lot of fun, and you can suspend your disbelief a lot more to enjoy the movie. But then when you come into a time like now, where the wonder of computer animation and CGI and all its overusedness can still allow a lot of creativity and to bring some new ideas to the visuals. See things that couldn't really be done in the originals. Now, like, for instance, Slimer in the originals was clearly a puppet, really fun design, and you could see through him. And he could move pretty well and pretty good and fast. But now they can make him like super duper fast, which is what it looked like they were chasing in that trailer. So all in all, I'm not totally opposed to remakes. I'm opposed to lazy remakes. I'm opposed to when they remake something, whether it needed to or not, and they don't go all the way. Like for me, like the recent, The Force Awakens, people complained about how it was so similar to A New Hope and kind of Empire Strikes Back. And it was, but I wouldn't go so far as call that a carbon copy of it. The remake of Lion King is. That's where the differences lie. If you can bring something new, some creative ideas to it, then you make it worth it. For all its faults, the 2011, I think it was, remake or prequel to The Thing was still stupid, it was still lame, and the computer effects looked faker than the practical effects back in the 80s, and that says a lot if your stuff looks worse. But they at least brought something new. The metal fillings and just metal and non-organic things in a human's body that The Thing can't replicate is a good way to tell if you're human or not. I thought that was a new, different way to tell. Aside from that, the rest of the movie was stupid and avoided at all costs. All you need to see is the John Carpenter one, and that's it. But with something like Ghostbusters and Wonder Woman, Mulan, and Black Widow, kind of not really Black Widow, but with all these movies, you get to see something that you haven't seen before. And that's where the difference comes in. I'm not saying I'm going to see all these movies that I got to watch their trailers for today. As long as Black Widow comes out in theaters, I'll see it. As long as Wonder Woman stays awesome as it looks, I'm going to see it. Mulan looks like it's going to be good, so I'll definitely see that. But Ghostbusters, I'm not too sure. And in a weird way, for like I mentioned before, 3 movies in a row about female empowerment, or at least strong female leads, followed by a movie almost being made as a retaliation for a movie that was heavily sexually charged, in the sense of like, oh, you don't want to see it because it has all women, so you're a sexist. So for a movie like this to come out, I mean, I know you can make the argument that they're making it more because, The last one didn't do too well, but did well enough to warrant another movie being made, but just happens to not be a direct sequel to that, but a direct sequel to another movie. It almost seems contradictory in a way. So it's very weird, very unusual. As far as I'm concerned, the Ghostbuster movies, they ended with 2, and then you get a fun little bit with the game. With the 2016 movie, it was just okay. It was fine. But I definitely do find myself watching the original more so than that one. And as far as this new one goes, it's hard to say. Hard to tell. So, that was a lot of fun. We shall move on with the rest of our lives now. So until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side.